Back, everyone, to the Maymi Talk Show. In the beginning of the program, I mentioned that I was excited about having our business spotlight today, Anosh Vaswani, who is the CEO, the founder of Ignite Marketing. And I really believe that this is the time where, as businesses are ramping up for 2026, understanding how to turbocharge your business from a marketing standpoint, and specifically a digital marketing standpoint, is so critical. And my friend Anosh, who I call him my friend because I sometimes you meet people and you just feel like you hit it off right away. Recently connected. I had a chance to check out a little bit of what he does. And guys, I only bring subject matter experts on the show that can deliver value to you, my listening audience. And I believe Anosh Vaswani has the ability to do that, and you're going to see that shortly. So, Anosh, welcome to the Jay Mamie Talk Show.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that intro and happy to be here.
All right. Well, I know that as of today, today is a special day because even though the show is recorded and we're going to have a chance to hear it soon, but you mentioned to me today's a special day in the Indian community. It is the Indian New Year, or sort of like the Christmas holiday. And so I appreciate you taking time to do this program. It shows the quality of person that you are. So we're going to dive right into it. You and I had a conversation, and I immediately figured out that you know a little bit about this digital marketing stuff. And for a lot of business owners, it's a complete mystery,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about strategies and tactics that have the potential to deliver what some of these other experts say that they can deliver. But before we dive into all of that, I'm curious to know, and I'm sure the audience also is curious to know, what drew you to the world of digital marketing. You've been doing in it for a bit,
Mhm.
and since you've started, how has the landscape changed?
Yeah, so what drew me in, to be honest, is to figure out why doesn't a consumer buy something, right? Why does anyone pick one product versus the other? That's what drew me to marketing, and especially it's a perfect mix of creativity and a little bit of art, a little bit of science. And that's what drew me in. But when I started in the early 2000s, websites were static, email was very static. Social media commerce wasn't even around there. It was still growing up. And between then and now, the landscape has changed considerably, especially in the last 6 months with AI being the new key term and it being in multiple different industries, and especially it's revolutionizing digital marketing and it's helping people kind of connect one-on-one with brands, which is exciting to see, and it's only going to go trend more and more with more AI integration happening. It's just going to be more personalized, and
Let me
that's
ask you, Anosh, you deal with a lot of businesses in your experiences,
Mhm.
and sometimes you have experiences that you come across. Others have had bad experiences in dealing with digital marketers.
Mhm.
In your opinion, though, in your opinion, what separates a good digital marketer from a bad one? What makes the good ones great?
The major difference is in one word is strategy. So the good marketer may know all the tools, may know the how to push the buttons, but a great one knows how to connect the data and the tools together to come up with a customized strategy for the client itself, right? That's the difference. It's anyone can put together a great looking campaign, but if it doesn't connect with how does it relate to that person, or it doesn't solve that issue for that client, then it's basically it's useless, right? So that's the key, to figure out the strategy and then implement it smartly.
I tell you, I would agree with that because over the course of my career, I've had many people approach me with digital marketing, and they can get my followers, my sales, and this, that, and the other. And I do entertain every now and then conversating with them. But one thing they've never brought up to me, and I'm recalling this now, at least the last few that I've had conversations with, is what you just mentioned, Anosh, strategy.
Mhm.
Anybody can do digital marketing, but do you have a strategy for success? And I think you nailed it on that one. But what's been the most surprising lesson you've learned about consumer behavior now in this digital age?
Personalization. I think everyone wants an instant gratification is what's
Hmm.
separating digital marketing from just traditional, right? So
Hmm.
the underlying aspect of pushing on emotions is still the same. We all make emotional decisions. Whatever we are buying through emotions. So
Hmm.
that's universal. But in the digital age, people are looking for instant gratification and instant answers. And people, if they go to a website or if they chat with a chatbot, they're looking for that answer, whatever that answer is, even though it might be on your website in big bold letters, they want to get that from a chatbot or from a text message. So that is definitely unique. But like I mentioned previously a little bit, AI is going to kind of help us with that setup too. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Do you find, I'm glad you brought up AI. Do you find, and this is just probably a strictly observation response, your own personal opinion, but do you find that people are still interested in a human personal touch of some sort when it comes to being marketed digitally? Obviously, marketed it digitally is going to involve, AI and that non-human.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to know there's somebody who, like, even if it's just someone that's through the chat box,
Yeah.
find that people still appreciate that human touch.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always a mix. That's why a lot of people want to just remove the human element, which is not going to happen or shouldn't happen. That's what I recommend for all my clients is, hey, get the grunt work, the frequently asked questions, the customer service things that can be kind of replaced with AI. But when it comes to more complex, when it comes to more one-on-one issues, then bring them into a human. So we start top of the funnel. Let's let the AI, let the automation take care of it. But as they come down the funnel, let's have a human touch in
Mm,
there.
mm,
And it's always good to have its AI has improved drastically every day that we speak, but it still is not to the point where it can replace a human or even mimic the human pretty well. It does pretty well, but not to the end where it can replace it. And again, we all are social creatures. If we all
mm.
want
Right,
to be connected one on one, right? So I'm digital marketer, but I met you at an in-person networking event, right?
right.
We
That's right.
we connected, we shook hands, and that's how we kind of connected and started our conversation. Now we could have done it on Zoom or any of these other setups, but our first contact was human connection, and that's not going to change as long as humans are around.
I appreciate you said that because you're absolutely right. Technology can continue to advance as my next question is going to speak about that, but there's no replacement to human touch.
Yeah,
There's no
absolutely
replacement
right.
that energy and that vibe that comes from two living things, for sure. So I appreciate you saying that. Now I know one thing for sure: things change over time.
Mhm,
What was hot 5, 10 years ago
mhm.
isn't so hot today. So as marketplace continues to change, digital marketing continues to change. What would you say probably not only the current biggest trend that's shaping digital marketing now, but over the next 5 years, what do you see?
Yeah, it's hyper personalization through AI is what I see happening, right? It's gonna be every single individual will want their specific question answered, and they are not worried about the general key terms or general answers. They want what is specific to them. So, as marketers, we need to tailor our services, our answers, our outreach to be hyper focused and hyper niche focus. So if let's say you are if you are a coach, you can be a coach to everyone, or for business people you need to be a coach for a financial analyst in particular. Be more specific or be more granular to saying a financial analyst working with clients ranging from 2 to 5 employees. So as more granular you get, the more your messaging, marketing messaging has to be that specific, and that's where the trend is. That's where AI is going to be more and more helpful in getting us that message out to those people and be more proactive than reactive, right? A lot of peoples
Hmm.
were at the past, and we had folks who were being reactive. Now we can be proactive because we have the data and we can say, here's what my audience is looking for. So let's put out that kind of messaging and then service them accordingly.
Let me ask you, I wanted to, and I do agree with what you said that y- ultimately you have to change your own personal strategy of how you help people as time changes as well. I think the failure of a lot of businesses, whether it's digital marketing consulting or any of that kind of consulting, is that they stick to some of the older principles that no longer are current or matter much for the new changes that are here, right?
Yeah.
So you have to continually revamp your own style of coaching and mentoring and training and services as the trends change as well. And a lot of people aren't doing that, don't do that rather to their own detriment.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on our final few minutes here on businesses. You know, big corporations have these big marketing departments that are able to tackle all sorts of costs to get the best marketing out there. Small businesses aren't, you know, they're just getting started, or maybe they're established, but they're a small business. They don't have big budgets, but they
Mhm.
still want to leverage digital marketing. For someone starting a business today, or maybe they're in their second, third, fourth, fifth year, ready to ramp it up, where should they begin with when it comes to digital marketing? Is it Facebook ads? Is it ads? We're going to talk about ads as well. What do you think?
Yeah. So I would say get clear with your messaging. The number one thing that I find folks faltering is when they don't have a clear message and who
Mhm.
they are servicing, right? And don't jump into paid ads right away unless you have a clear offer and a clear sales process. So I would suggest go set up one funnel, whether it's a LinkedIn outreach, whether it's email. Do one funnel, do it really well, and once you know that that is working, whether it's that system works, then from there on you can then say, okay, now I've mastered LinkedIn outreach, or I mastered email marketing, or whichever channel that is working for you, and then you can go ahead and put more to it. Also figure out where does your audience live. If you're a business B2B, your audience is on LinkedIn. If you're trying to reach the consumers, then it's on Facebook and Instagram. If your consumer demographic is younger, then you need to go to TikTok. So figure out where your audience lives, master that channel first, and then once that is working, then you can add more to it. But don't try to do everything at once. You're diluting yourself and you're not really getting to do anything properly.
Let me ask you, with regards to, you have to know your message. Once you know your message and your target market, and this is probably a question that we're gonna we should probably have another entirely different segment on this, and we will in the future, because it's, I don't want to shortchange the answer.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of people that are skeptical about placing online digital ads, social media ads,
Mhm.
because they've tried it, didn't work. uh, what would you say, Anosh, is probably the biggest mistake that businesses make when they're trying to promote their businesses online through ads?
Yeah, so again, it comes down to strategy. What was your strategy, right? Where did you spend your money? Who's executing your strategy too, right? We have, just like there's a bunch of people out there who can do the setup and can make it look pretty, but clicks don't matter unless it's the right clicks. So that's why I would suggest figuring out the right strategy first and implementing that.
Do you find that most business owners are unreasonable when it comes to a budget? In other words, they have high expectations, low budget, low coaching.
Yeah, yeah, that
Is that accurate?
unfortunately, yes, I agree with that. Unfortunately, with small businesses, that's always the case. But I always say, hey, find the right fit. There's always someone who can do it, but make sure you vet them out, talk to their other clients, get some case studies, and then put some money towards it and be reasonable with your expectations for sure.
Reasonable expectations, that's the key. I
Yes.
think that's where most business owners sometimes fall by the wayside. They don't practice reasonable expectations and they get discouraged and disappointed immediately. In our
Yeah.
last minute here, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to small business owners that are struggling to grow online business?
Focus on one thing. Make that one funnel work for yourself.
Now, when
And
you say funnel, let's just, because not everybody understands that language. What do you mean by funnel?
yeah, so have a clear way of how you're going to find people who are not that don't know you, right? How are you going to convert a cold audience to come to you as an authority person? And then what are you going to give them to come into that funnel? And what are you going to do to nurture them? And that
Mm,
is the one thing that I also agree is a lot of people get leads or contacts, but then they don't nurture them. They don't follow up. They don't
yeah.
text, email, be in front of them, which is why you're not getting the conversions versus someone else who's doing those things. So automate nurturing and make sure that you are clear with your messaging, and that way you can execute on that once, and then you can just duplicate it.
You know, that's the mic drop. One of the cool things about this show, Anosh, is that every interview, without a doubt, just about every interview that I've had over the last 5 years, at some point throughout the segment, they give what I call a mic drop,
Hmm.
a nuclear bomb of knowledge.
All
And
right.
you just said that automate nurturing
Yeah.
because that's the key. That nurturing continues to develop rapport and relationship, and ultimately that's what leads to someone giving you time and then giving you money. So
Right.
I think it's brilliant. We appreciate you being on the show, Anosh. You are a gem. I encourage anyone and everyone that is interested in learning more about digital marketing to reach out to the experts. That's what they're good at. Don't try to wing it and do it yourself, save a few bucks here and there. Go to the pros. Give them a shot as long as they know what they're doing. And if they do, you're going to see the results pretty quickly. Anosh Vaswani, the company's name is Ignite. You can certainly find them on the website Ignite Marketing. Ignite is Egnite marketing.com. Anosh, thanks for being on the program.
Thanks for having me, Jay. Appreciate it.
Folks, that wraps up another fantastic week of the Maymi Talk Show. I tell you, I don't know if anybody else loves these shows more than I do, but I sure as hell love them because the content that we continue to deliver is absolutely stellar. Today, another one knocked it out of the park. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, keep thriving.